Long ago, in the land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. He was known as a blameless and upright man who feared God and turned away from evil. His life was prosperous, his household was large, and his name was respected throughout the region. Job had no idea that his peaceful world would soon become the setting for one of the greatest tests of faith recorded in Scripture. Job possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household of servants. By the standards of his world, he was greater than anyone in the East. Yet his wealth was not presented as the source of his righteousness. Job's greatest treasure was his reverence for God. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. His children were close to one another and regularly gathered for meals and celebrations. Their homes were filled with food, music, laughter, and family fellowship. Job cherished them deeply, but he also understood that material prosperity could never replace spiritual devotion. After his children's periods of feasting, Job would rise early and offer sacrifices for each of them. He worried that perhaps one of his children had sinned in their hearts. His habit revealed something important. Job did not take his blessings for granted. He continually brought his family before God. Then the story moves from earth to heaven. Heavenly beings came before the Lord, and Satan appeared among them. The heavenly scene revealed something Job could not see. His faith was about to become the subject of a profound test. Satan questioned whether Job truly served God from love or simply because his life was blessed. Job had wealth, family, protection, and honor. The accusation suggested that if those blessings disappeared, Job's devotion would disappear with them. One day, while Job's servants were working, disaster struck. Sabean raiders attacked and carried away Job's oxen and donkeys. Servants were killed, and one survivor escaped to bring the terrible report to Job. Before Job could fully absorb the first disaster, another servant arrived. Fire had fallen and destroyed Job's sheep and the servants caring for them. Again, only one messenger remained to tell Job what had happened. Then another messenger arrived. 3 groups of Chaldean raiders had attacked and taken Job's camels. Once again, servants had been killed. One by one, the pillars of Job's prosperity were collapsing. Then came the final report, the most devastating of all. Job's sons and daughters had gathered together in the home of their oldest brother. A powerful wind struck the house, causing it to collapse. All 10 of Job's children were lost. In a single day, Job's entire world had been shattered. Job tore his robe and humbled himself. He mourned deeply, but instead of turning completely away from God, he bowed down in worship. He had entered the darkest day of his life, yet his response revealed that his relationship with God was deeper than his possessions. The heavenly assembly appeared again. Job had endured the loss of his possessions and children, yet Satan argued that a person would protect his own life even after losing everything else. The test was allowed to go further, but Job's life itself was not to be taken. Soon Job was afflicted with painful sores from head to foot. The man who had once lived in prosperity now sat in misery. His body became a constant reminder of everything he had lost. Job took a piece of broken pottery and used it to scrape himself as he sat among the ashes. Job's wife saw the depth of his suffering and struggled to understand why he continued holding onto his faith. In her despair, she urged him to abandon his devotion to God. Job refused. Even though he could not understand his suffering, he would not simply throw away his trust. 3 of Job's friends heard about his suffering. Eliphaz came from Teman, Bildad from Shah, and Zophar from Naamath. They agreed to travel together to comfort him. When they saw Job from a distance, they could barely recognize him. When the 3 friends finally reached Job, they wept. They tore their robes, placed dust upon their heads, and sat beside him on the ground. For 7 days and 7 nights, they said nothing. They simply remained with Job, because his suffering was too great for words. After 7 days of silence, Job finally spoke. He did not curse God. Instead, he cursed the day of his birth and wished that the day he entered the world had never come. His grief had become so deep that he could no longer understand why he had been allowed to experience such suffering. Eliphaz became the first friend to respond. He reminded Job of the good he had once done for others and suggested that suffering could be connected to human wrongdoing. His reasoning was that people generally reap what they sow. He encouraged Job to seek God and accept correction. Job answered that his suffering was heavier than words could describe. He felt abandoned and misunderstood. He longed for relief but could not see a path forward. He also questioned why his friends were treating his suffering as evidence of guilt when they had no knowledge of what had truly happened. Job continued by wrestling with the mystery of suffering. He acknowledged God's greatness, but struggled to understand how he could stand before such overwhelming power and explain his innocence. He longed for someone who could mediate between himself and God. Bildad now spoke. He emphasized God's justice and argued that God does not act wrongly. His words suggested that if Job's children had sinned, their fate was connected to their wrongdoing. He encouraged Job to seek God and believed restoration would come if Job was truly righteous. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe so as not to miss out on part 2 on the story of Job.